learning a lot from both Aisha and Iram, and they happen to be batchmates both here and in their school also. So they have a timing which they always use against me. They gang up sometimes in a good way, though. So you can also gang up with them. Okay, so just a quick thing, Aisha, would you like to introduce just a quickly your name and school and say hi? Because we are 3 people, so we can do this like we are 4. So you all know me, so among yourselves, let's start with Aisha, Devangi, and then Hiram in alphabetical order. Aisha, quick.
Hi, I am Aisha, and I live in Qatar and I study at MEA. Hi, Devangi.
Hi Aisha, I'm Devangi from India, Ghaziabad, and my school's name is Seth Anandram Jaipuria School.
Hello, Devangi, I'm Ira. I live here in Qatar. I'm from Mumbai, Maharashtra, and I study here in MEA Indian School.
Hi Ira.
Okay, very good. So where were we now? What were we doing in the last class? So we are, as I've told Devangi, that we are finishing we are doing currently the chapter 5th, which is morphology of angiosperms, or the morphology of flowering plants. Okay, Devangi. So you can start from where we are beginning, and I hope that you have been added to the group. If not, then please drop me a text if you have not been added to the WhatsApp group. And you can get the video links, and you have to make notes of whatever I have taught till now. And yes, that's it. That's how we will go. Okay, you can come up with your doubts. These two, just like these two, you can interrupt me anytime, ask doubts, and they have a lot of doubts. So if you gang with them, you can pass some of your doubts to them and they will ask on your behalf as well. So they're very good at it. Okay, so just feel. And the good thing is 3 girls in a group. It's a girl gang. See, yes. So it's going to happen a lot. Okay, so for Devangi, I think who will volunteer? Let's hear from Aisha. Aisha, would you like to give a summary of the last class? Half Aisha will give, and let's half Iram. Okay, so let Aisha start. Aisha, let's start from flower as a part. Okay, so you explain the flower structure along with estivation, and from there onwards, let Iram take. Okay. So in the last class, we did flower as a morphological structure in plants. Okay, Aisha, over to you. And also Devangi, just to tell you, because these two know, these first 10-15 minutes is a revision summary session where one of you will be giving a summary. It's kind of you are the teacher for the first 5-10 minutes. So others can ask questions for clarifications. Okay, so Devangi, this is your time. You can ask questions to Aisha, which she often says good question and passes on to me, but she will try her best. Okay. Okay. Good to go. Yes, Aisha. Let's start.
Okay. So we discussed flower in the last class. First of all plants do not produce flowers, and flowers are the reproductive units or structures of angiosperms. Angiosperms mean flowering plants. Their flowers are only produced for sexual reproduction, and every flower has 4 layers.
Okay, and these layers are from outside to inside, right? Let's start from outside to inside. What are these 4 layers?
Calyx or sepal, it is the outermost layer.
Yeah. So that's why when you see a bird, that's why when you see a bird of the flower, it's just the calyx that you're seeing, green bird. Then it opens and something tiny, colorful comes out. That is the second layer. Okay, Aisha, continue.
calyx is green in color and it's leaf-like and protects the flower in the bud stage. And if all the sepals are united together in a calyx, it's called gamosepalous. And if sepals are free, it is called polysepalous. Then we have petals in the second layer. And petals are usually bright in color and have good fragrance. It is to attract pollinators like insects and small birds. And if petals are free, it is called polypetalous, and if they're united, it is called gamopetalous. Then we have
the third layer.
Yes, the third layer is androecium. And
Yes, also known as stamen.
Yeah,
And-
stamen.
Yeah.
It has
First, tell what it
Anther-
is. What is androecium? It is the male reproductive structure of a flower.
yeah, it is the male reproductive structure of plant. It has anther and a tube-like structure called filament.
Yes.
Then we have the fourth layer, which is gynoecium, also known as pistil. It is the female reproductive part of the flower. It consists of a stigma and a long tube called style, and it has ovary.
Yeah, the
And
bottommost
ovary is-
swollen part. Yes.
And ovary is the future plant, and ovule is the future
Future
seed.
fruit. Hey,
Yeah,
future fruit.
future fruit.
So ovary will become fruit someday.
Yes.
Yes. And ovary contains ovules inside, which are the seeds. Okay. And what is thalamus?
Is the swollen part at the base of flower.
Yes. Around the ovary, the swollen tissue is called thalamus.
Yes.
So if a flower has both the male and female structures, it's called a bisexual flower. There are also flowers which have only one structure, either the male or the female part. So those are called monosexual flowers. Okay. So in a monosexual flower, there will only be 3 layers: sepals, petals, and whatever is the reproductive structure, whether it's androecium or gynoecium. Okay. Cool. Now, what was estivation, Aisha?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yes, Devani.
Sir, what are unified
have-
petals?
Yes, you have a ma'am currently, you know, Aisha ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Aisha. The question is, what is the question again?
I mean, like, what is meant by unified petals?
Aisha. Hey, don't waste time. You're a teacher for 10 minutes.
It is called gamocepalous.
Oh, but what is it? She's asking. What do we mean by unified petals or unified sepals?
Good question.
Yeah, good question. So Aisha is bad at playing teachers. Let's go to Iram. Iram. And today's Teachers Day, by the way. Right. So Iram, what do we mean by unified sepals and petals? Can you hear me? Am I audible?
So,
Yes.
good question.
Yeah. Okay. So Devangi, yes, this is what to do. See, by unified sepals and petals, and by the way, that's not, the question is good, but you have to give good answers as well, okay, over time. Because tomorrow when Devangi will be giving an summary and you ask the question, she'll say just good question. Okay. And what if I say that? Anyways, but by united, it means that if you can differentiate, if you can count the number of sepals and petals separately, so they are not all joined together, they are present together, but they are still separate. For example, Devangi, and I also gave this example to these two. You have seen a rose flower, you can pluck petal by petal separately, right?
Yes, sir.
But if you see a tulip flower, for that matter, or even in a tulip we can do that, but sometimes the flower are one bell-shaped flower. Let's say some flowers are like this, where all these sepals or petals are joined together to make a bell shape, and inside from the bell shape these anthers are coming out. Have you seen flowers like this? So there all the petals are united together. You have to tear the flower apart. You cannot pluck one petal at a time. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So that's called unified or united petals. A similar thing happens for sepals. It's called unified or united sepal. So gamosepalous means joined sepals, joined petals, and polysepalous means they are still different, like rose. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Aisha, estivation, quick.
Estivation is the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in the floral bud with respect to other structure of the
Same. Whorl. It's called whorl. WHORL. It's the layer or the whorl. So there are 4 whorls: sepal, petal, androecium, gynoecium. Okay. So estivation can be of petals, estivation can be of sepals. Here we are studying about the estivation of petals. Estivation is the arrangement in which these petals are present. Okay. Yes, continue, Aisha. So there are 4.
There are different type of estivation, of
Mhm.
which the major are valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. Valvate means when sepals or petals just touch each other at the margin without overlapping. Example is calotropis.
Yes.
And the second one is twisted. In twisted, one margin of the petal or sepal overlaps with the next one in a continuous clockwise or anti-clockwise manner. Example is China rose, cotton flower, or okra flower.
Okra is lady finger, right? I hope
Yes.
you know that, Devangi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
And the third one is imbricate. Here, the margin of the sepals and petals overlap one another, but not in an particular direction or pattern. Example is gulmohar or cassia.
Cassia. Yes.
Cassia. And the last one is vexillary. In mostly vexillary flowers have 5 petals, one being the largest, also known as standard. Overlaps the 2 lateral petals known as wings, and wings overlap to smallest petals called keel. Example is
Yes.
pea and bean.
So 2 plus 2 plus 1 arrangement is there to make 5 mostly. P and bean are the examples. Right. Thank you so much, Aisha. And Kiran, would you like to take from here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Androecium. Androecium is the male reproductive part of a flower. It is also known as stamen. It consists of 2 parts, anther and filament. Anther, it is like a sac-like structure which contains pollen grain, and filament, a stalk-like structure that supports.
Supports what?
Supports the anther.
And yes.
Inside the anther, there is theca present. Which is no, there are 2 chambers present, which is also known as bilobed anther.
No, these chambers are called theca.
Yeah, these timbers are called theca.
Yeah. And in every
And each-
lobe of, in every anther, there are 2 thecas.
Yeah, 2 thecas. And each lobe of the anther is dithecous. Sometimes the theca is not unable to produce pollen grains. In this case, it is a sterile stamen or stamenoid. And filament is attached to the petal, so they are called epipetalar stamen. Example, we have brinjal. And filaments are attached to the perianth or the thalamus. It is called as epiphyllus. Example, lily flower.
So these are 2 kinds of filaments on the basis of where they attach. So this structure, which you see containing anther and filament, it can be either epipetalous or epiphyllus, depending on where it attaches. Yes, continue.
Types of stamen. On the basis of number and structure, they can be united or free. There are 2 types, polyandrous and polyandrous. It is a multiple free stamen and bundled together. The second one is bundled together. Yeah. In bundled together, there is monoadelphous, which is a China rose, and diadelphous, which is P. More than 2 bundles is polyadelphous. Salvia
Yeah.
and even lengths of the filament.
Yes,
Next
and
reproductive part of a plant, which is gynoecium. It is also known as pistil or carpel. It has 3 parts. At the top, it is stigma, and you can see there is a long tube which is styled, and at the end, it's ovary. So it is a biochemical interaction between the molecule present on the surface of the pollen with the molecule of
where,
sugar present on the.
so
It is
stigma
the
is
pollen
responsible for that interaction, right? So stigma is the first region of the pistil that interacts with the incoming pollen grains. And at stigma, this pollen pistil interaction takes place. So it is a biochemical interaction, which is very, very important for the stigma to find the correct pollen that is allowed to grow and later on fertilize with the ovules, okay, inside the ovary. So that identification of the same species or species recognition, as we call it, happens at the stigma. Yes, continue.
Yeah, and it's very important for the species recognition. So first part is stigma. It is the receptive surface that encounters a pollen grain first. Biochemical interaction between stamen and stigma takes place to choose the right fertilization. Style, it is a long cylindrical structure that connects stigma to the ovary. And style facilitates the elongation of pollen tube to reach the ovary. Ovary, it is the swollen basal part which contains embryo sac and ovules in it, and it is the site for fertilization in plants. Each ovary can have one or multiple ovule in the embryo sac attached to the placenta. We have types of gynoecium, apocarpus, and cyanocarpus. Apocarpus is more than one carpel present in a single flower and all are free. Example, rose. Cyanocarpus is multiple carpels present in one single flower. Example, mustard or tomato.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Iram. And this is what we did in the last class. Devangi, do you have any questions? Devangi? Is everything clear?
Sir, can you please scroll a bit up?
Yes. Which part?
Yes, sir.
This one?
Yes, sir. Sir, she said that there is a biochemical reaction.
Yes.
So,
So yeah, I'll explain that. So this stigma, you can see the structure. This broad part is called stigma. Okay, this one.
yes,
So the stigma is a receptive surface that, like Iram said, that this is the first part of the pistil that interacts with the pollen. Now the point is that pollen from any flower can come and land on the stigma, right? No one is
yes,
making it sure that if it is a guava plant, only the guava pollens will fall on the flowers. It can be a mango pollen, it can be any other pollen falling on that stigma, right? But only the pollen which belongs to the same plant can go and fertilize with the ovule present in the ovary? Yes or no?
Yes,
So
sir.
how does the stigma, how does the pistil make sure that which pollen is the right pollen and should be allowed to make a pollen tube and go inside? So that happens through this pollen pistil interaction. So the word pollen pistil interaction tells that it is a, so pollen has some molecules on the surface of it, and stigma also has some sugars on the surface of it. They both interact. It's like the correct key fitting in the correct lock and the lock opens. And that's where you get to know that, okay, this is the pollen of the same species that the flower belong to and it is allowed. That's called a biochemical interaction between pollen and the pistil. Is it clear, Devangi?
Okay, sir.
Okay, very well. So shall I start with the today's topic?
Yes, sir.
So you understood gynoecium, the types of gynoecium, and you understood, so the gynoecium is this pistil part. Now, in the gynoecium, we studied the function of stigma, which is reception and interaction. Style allows it makes a connecting link between stigma and ovary and allows the pollen tube, directs the pollen tube to go where it should go, and then comes the ovary. So inside the ovary, there is ovules. Okay. So today we'll start with a concept called placentation. Okay, placentation. It comes from the word placenta. Placenta is also present in human. Can you tell me what is placenta in human? Placenta, people. Do you know humans have placenta? Babies which are developing in the womb of the mother has something called placenta.
Sir, it's the tissue that provides nutrition to the embryo.
Exactly. It's a tissue, perfect. It's a tissue that develops from the interaction of both the mother and the baby. Yes, some applauses from Aisha. I really like that. You know, you should learn from each other and appreciate each other's knowledge as well. So the mother tissue and the baby's tissue, they form an interconnected thing like this. So if you hold all three of you can do this, you can understand how placenta actually forms like. So your fingers are two different tissues. This is your mother and this is the developing baby's tissue. They interdigitize. So exactly like this, tissues come and form this union. So you can see this is called interdigitization. The word digits is used for our fingers. So tissues interdigitize and form a placenta. And from that placenta comes out a tube. Do you know that that tube is called? It's very common, I think. It has a name starting with U. It's called umbilical cord. Remember umbilical cord? Anyone has heard this name before?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, and where does umbilical cord goes and attaches? It is towards the baby side, because on the mother side there are mother's tissues, on the baby side there are tissues which makes placenta, but from that placenta should come a tube cord which is called umbilical cord. And where does that go and connect? To the, come again, Aisha, I could not hear you. You're yes. So the navel is actually an opening, and that umbilical cord was attached to the navel. So when a baby is born, doctors often put two clips at two ends and then cut the navel, right? No, don't not cut the navel, cut the umbilical cord. Sorry, cutting the navel would have been a disaster. So cut the umbilical cord, and that's where the baby no longer needs nutrition from the mother tissues inside the womb. Now it can come in the outer world. The birth has been, it has taken birth. So similarly, inside a ovary also, the placenta connects the embryo, the developing embryo of the human with the mother, right? Here also, what is the developing embryo in a plant? It will be when an ovule will get fertilized by a pollen grain. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And so it will start developing. Now, first write down placentation. Placentation, write down. It is the arrangement of ovules within the ovary within the ovary of a pistil or of a gynoecium. Now, what do I mean by this arrangement? Sometimes there is only one single ovule. So, it's just a single one. So after fertilization, there'll be only one seed produced, right? So can you tell me about any fruit that has just one seed? Like Devangi, Aisha and Iram sorry?
Mango.
Apple? Did you say apple, Aisha?
Sir, I said mango.
Mango, yes, mango, correct. So you understand the concept. Now there can be different types of these arrangements in a plant. How many of you have taken out pea seeds from the peas that come to your house, like fresh peas? It was one of my tasks. Whenever peas used to come, yes, our mothers give us a task. All we have to do is to take out the seeds one by one, right? And sometimes we will also eat a few. So if you see a pea, what does a pea looks like? It looks like this, right? And inside, very carefully, if you see, the seeds are actually attached to something, right? So when you take out all the seeds, you see that at the base there is something present like this. This part, have you noticed ever this part? You have to actually break it from this part. Yes or no? So these are seeds, and these basically are seeds represent ovules when they are not fertilized. So this kind of arrangement, which is present in the pea, is called marginal. So all of them are present along this margin, one margin. No one is attached to the opposite margin. So basically what you do is you open from this side, right? You open the pea from one side, and from the other side you just break all of them from their respective these connections, right? So this is the first type of placentation known as marginal placentation. So write down. Example is P. Write down. In marginal placentation, the placenta. So what you see here running, this green part is the placenta to which all the ovules are attached. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge. Along the ventral side of the ovary. Forms a ridge along the ventral side of the ovary. And all the ovules are born or are present on this ridge. All the ovules are present on this ridge in 2 rows. So they are arranged in 2 rows. If you look carefully, next time when you open a pea, spend 1 or 2 minutes in observing it, and also tell your mother that, see, we have studied just about that. You will realize that there are 2 rows, one slightly to the left, and the next slightly to the right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And this is how pea seeds are arranged, and then you take all of it. And then there is a pulao or something made, and you never think about it again, but think about it the next time you see it. So this is called the marginal placentation. Is it clear, everyone?
So,
yes,
So what is the ventral side of ovary?
Yes, dorsal and ventral. So these are axes used to define any organism or any body or any structures. Okay. So dorsal side is which is mostly facing the top. Okay. So in organisms, the dorsal side is when you put that organism in the normal position with all the four legs or the appendages touching the ground. And what faces the sky is dorsal. So in humans, what will be the dorsal? Our back will be the dorsal, right? Because normally we stand erect. But our two hands, two appendages are not touching the ground. So when they touch the ground, which side will be facing the sky? Tell me. Which side will be facing the sky? The back side, right?
The back.
Yes, so that becomes the dorsal, and the other side becomes the ventral. In we also say that we have a dorsal vertebral column. So when I say dorsal, you have to know that what I am talking about. Is it clear? So in ovary also, so this side is dorsal. If you look from here, from where you actually break the P, like open, and on the side where the seeds are attached is the ventral side. Okay, is it clear, Iram?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Right, on the second type is called exile. Exile. Right on, in an exile placentation, the placenta is present in an axial manner. The placenta is present in an axial manner, and the ovules are attached. First write down, then I will draw and explain you. And the ovules are attached to it in a multi-chambered ovary or multilocular. So it has multiple chambers. The ovary has multiple chambers in which ovules are attached. More than one ovules in each chamber. It's called a multilocular ovary. Let me draw it for you. So let's say this is the ovary. Then you will see that there will be multiple chambers in that ovary. Okay. This is one chamber. This is another chamber. This is another chamber. This is another chamber, like this. And then you will see that ovules will be attached to it like this. Okay. In an axial manner. Is it clear? So this here is multilocular ovary. Multilocular ovary. Just by looking at this structure, you can tell me in your kitchen, what have you seen like this? When you, which fruit do you cut and it looks like this? Which has chambers.
Orange.
Yes, lemon. All the citrus basically looks like this, right?
Tomato.
Tomato. Very good. Perfect. And tomato, orange, lemon, and also China rose. So write down the example. China rose, tomato, lemon.
Grapefruit.
Sorry? Which fruit? Sorry, I think it's some fancy fruit that I have not heard of, or I'm not able to understand what.
The grapefruit.
Grapefruit. What is a grapefruit? I'm wondering. Okay, if you're sure that it must be, but Devang, you have an idea what is a grapefruit? I have to check it out. Okay, and I'll get back to you. That is, it has
Is
exile.
talking about grapes?
No, I don't think she's talking about grapes, right, Aisha? It's some fancy fruit
No.
called.
It's
Yes.
It's like orange.
It's like orange. See?
Yeah.
So it's a cousin of orange named as grape. Great. Very good. So this was marginal. I'll check and get back to you, Aisha, that whether your fancy fruit is axial or not. Okay, but if it's a cousin of orange, it's a citrus one, then yes, probably you're correct. It will have axial placentation. Okay. The third one, write down, is called parietal placentation. These are just arrangements. I am writing placement. Okay, parietal placentation. You know, when you come to this, when you reach some certain age, placement is all you want. So, okay, parietal. Write down. In parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner walls of the ovary. So there is one single ovary and there are multiple ovules, but it is just opposite to axial placentation. It's parietal. So the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary in a peripheral manner. Periphery means boundary. So ovules are outside in, like they're attached to the boundary of the ovary towards inside. Okay. Inner wall of the ovary in a peripheral manner. So in this case, write down, the ovary is one chambered. There is only one chamber of the ovary. The ovary is one chamber. But sometimes, also write this down, we know that in parietal it is always one chamber, but sometimes the ovary divides into two. It does not mean it has two chambers, but it divides into two through a false septum or a false wall layer. Membrane is a good word. Sorry. Sometimes it becomes two chambered due to a false septum. So basically what I'm talking about is, let's say this is the ovary, and again there is only one chamber for ovules. You will see in this one chamber there will be ovules developing from the boundaries like this. Is it clear? At multiple locations. And example of parietal placentation is argemone. Anyone know what is argemone? Argemone and mustard. Mustard has this septum, false septum, which I'm talking about. If you open it up. Anyone has seen an argemone? No? Okay. How to? These are also known as prickly poppies. These are thorny things. I don't know if it's present in Qatar or not, but just besides the roadside, there is a thorny plant growing with yellow seeds. Sorry, yellow flowers. Looks beautiful though. The leaves are also thorny, like spiny. And the yellow flower is there. It's called prickly poppy sometimes. So argemone is commonly known as prickly because of thorns, and poppy, prickly poppy. And mustard. And the fourth type is free central. And as the name suggests, it's free and it's in the center. Okay, so write down. In free central placentation, the ovules are formed on a central axis and no septum is present. And no septum is present. So there is the central axis on which the ovules are just present like this. Okay, right in the center. So it is free central, multiple ovules. So it can be multiple seeds as well. The example here is primrose and dianthus. Primrose and dianthus. So, okay, that's called free central. And the last one is called basal placentation. Write down, in basal placentation, the placenta develops. The placenta develops at the base of ovary. At the base of ovary. And a single ovule is attached to it. Basically, in this, what happens is, if this is your, there's a single ovary. So if I make it like this chambers, only one chamber, and a single ovule is attached like this at the base. So it is attached at the base. Okay. And the examples here are sunflower and marigold. Sunflower and marigold. Okay, everyone, is it clear?
Yes,
Aisha,
sir.
Devangi, and Iram?
Yes.
No doubts? 5 types of placentation is clear. Okay, right? You have drawn this, everyone? Okay, so let me start now. So this is where our gynoecium part and also the placenta and everything ends. And now we'll start with what happens after fertilization. So we have studied, we are going in a series now. See, we studied about sepals, petals, then we came to androecium and gynoecium. And when pollen and ovules fertilize together, what is formed? The ovary starts to swollen up and ripens, and as a result, what is formed?
Fruit.
Yes. So let's come to the next morphological feature of plant, which is fruit. Now it is very, very interesting. What is a fruit basically? What is a fruit? It's nothing. If you define it, it can just define it in one line. A ripened ovary is called fruit. Okay. So write down. Fruit is a characteristic feature fruit is a characteristic feature of angiosperms. Okay, which is flowering plants, and it is defined as it is a mature and ripened ovary. Which develops after fertilization. which develops after fertilization. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
But there's an exception. Some fruits can develop without fertilization. Okay. So those are called parthenocarpic fruits. Okay. So write down. Some fruits that are formed without fertilization are called parthenocarpic fruits. Okay. So let's take an example of a fruit. Which fruit? Let's start with mango, because I think that will be easier for me to draw. I'm not sure though, but this is somehow a mango looks like when we cut it, right? So let's suppose I'm cutting it mango from, it's a cut section. So what do I see inside? So here is attached the thing, mango thing. And what do I see inside? So I see a single seed, right? Like this.
Yes, sir.
And this wall, so mango has a flesh, like a skin-like thing also, which we peel sometimes, which you don't eat, right? You can peel it off. You understand what I'm talking about? The outermost covering of the mango.
Yes, sir.
And then we have this pulp, which we are very much interested in, right? So this peel, outermost part, is called the epicarp. This is not ripened and we do not eat this in a mango. So even if the mango is ripened, epicarps are not eaten. Like, for every mango, we do not eat the epicarp. But the inside, the fleshy part, which is this part, which we eat, is called mesocarp. The word epi, remember in biology, so I told you about Devangi and others about the terminology section, right? Remember terms?
Yes, sir.
So the word epi means above or over. Above, over, outer. Okay, the word epi always means. Carp here is the tissue, the layer. So epicarp, mesocarp, and inside is this layer. Can you see this? So seed also has a layer on it. Every seed has a layer around it. You seen that? So the seed that we see on a mango, anyone of you has opened a mango seed? No?
Yes.
Yes, Asha, how does it look like? What is
Yes,
inside?
another kind of seed thing.
Yeah, there is another thing inside it, and that is the seed. So the part on which these fibrous things are attached. So if you like the way I eat a mango is you just eat the mesocarp, and a lot of flesh of the fruit is around. Juicy and fleshy part is the seed as well. So we just type of take that out, that fleshy part out from the seed, right? We scrape it and eat it, right? And there are hair-like structures on the mango seed. So basically that is the first layer. Here this is called endocarp. Again, the word epi means outer, meso means middle, and endo means inner. Outer, middle, inner, 3 layers are there in every fruit. The meso is mostly the fleshy part, which we eat. And then there is this seed. Okay. And seed contains the embryo. So write down. Generally there are 3 layers of a fruit. Generally, there are 3 layers of a fruit. Okay, now these 3 together, epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp, we can together call it pericarp. Okay, so pericarp has 3 things: epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. So fruit has 3 layers. Epicarp is the outer the middle is mesocarp, which is also the fleshy part mostly. And the endocarp is the inner, which covers the seed. Okay. How many of you have seen, tell me another example of a fruit that you think is not a fruit. Okay, I'll tell names and you have to tell me if it's a fruit, okay, or not. Strawberry, is it a fruit, Aisha? Yes or no?
Yes, it's a fruit.
No, it's not. It's not a fruit. It's a false fruit because it does not develop from the ovary. Anything that gets swollen. Is sweet potato a fruit? Is sweet potato a fruit? You eat sweet potato? You know sweet potato, Aisha?
Yes.
So do you think it's a fruit? Because we eat it like a fruit. Like we just first we cook it. Vegetables are fruits actually. You know, they are the fruit of the plant. We just cannot eat it raw, so we call it vegetable, like things which we cook with masala, and things which we can just eat as it is, we call it fruits. But vegetables are basically the fruit of the plant developing from their ovaries. But strawberry is called a false fruit. Melon is a fruit. Strawberry is a false fruit. Even apple is not a fruit. You know that? How many of you knew that apple is not a fruit? Heartbroken. Aisha is like, all my favorite fruits are not fruits. What should I do now? Even jackfruit is not a fruit. I think I should just stop here. Yeah, it's like that. So what is a true fruit? Mango is a true fruit. Yeah. Yes. Even pomegranate.
Vegetables are true fruit?
Vegetables are true fruits. So biologically, vegetables are fruits. They are ripened ovaries, but they are ripened in a way which we cannot digest without cooking. So we just cook it better. You know, you can, for that matter, cook every fruit, but you know, there's no need to. So we can just eat it. Even if you eat vegetables raw, that's also going to give you something, right? It's not like it will just taste a little different. Like imagine eating a raw brinjal versus a cooked one, eating a raw potato versus a cooked one. Potato is not a fruit, neither a vegetable. Actually, potato is just a stem. Sweet potato is a root. They are just swollen to store food. That's all. They are neither fruits nor vegetables. So another, when I say that potato is not a vegetable, one of my students said that, and yet that is the one vegetable which we buy every time we go to a vegetable market, you know. But it's not a vegetable. Okay. Yes. Onion. Onion is also neither a fruit nor a vegetable. So potato and onion are two ingredients without which no vegetable curry or something mixed veg can be made. But onions are just leaf. Leaves modified to store food are onions. Stem modified to store food is potato. And root modified to store food is sweet potato. These questions are asked in entrances because they are exceptions. So just know that. Okay. Now fruits are of two types, true fruits and
Sir?
false fruits. Yes, Devangi.
Sir, why apple is not a fruit?
Yeah, you are also sad about it. Oh, I'm so sorry. So let me tell you, Devangi was just waiting to get reasons. It's okay, my heart is broken, but please tell me. So let me tell you why apple is not a true fruit. Let's make an apple to understand that. Let me be as true as I can. Let me use true colors. So if I cut an apple, you will see something like this, right?
Yes.
And something is attached here. Yes. Now, if you cut an apple like this, you will also see a structure which looks something like this, which every time we cut apples for our guests, we remove this structure, right?
Yes, sir.
And inside this structure, you will see seeds, right? Seeds are only present here. Okay. Is
Yes,
it clear? Now, you know what is the fruit part in an apple? This is the fruit part. So this is the fruit which you don't eat, which contains ovules, because ovary is the fruit. Ripened ovary should be the fruit. But in apple, the ovary never ripens. Instead, what ripens is the thalamus tissues. Sorry, what kind of apple it is? Instead, what ripens is thalamus tissues around the ovary. Now, do you understand? Go back to the flower diagram you made. You made some thalamus tissues around the ovary. Did you
okay,
get
sir.
the reason, Devangi? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Devangi, you understood the reason? So what we are eating, basically this fleshy part is not ovary. It's not ripened ovary, but it is ripened thalamus.
Okay,
Right.
sir.
Thalamus. And this is the ovary which does not ripes. It stays raw, and just like even if you eat it, you have to chew it a lot, and you will not be able to digest it. It contains seeds. So we cut from here and throw this part. So we are actually throwing the ovary, which should be the fruit, and we are eating the thalamus. So apple is a false fruit. Okay. So there are two type of fruits. Just write down here only. I don't know if this part is in your syllabus or not, but it's very important for entrance. And just because we are doing fruits, just write down two more lines. There are two kinds of fruits: true fruits and false fruits. There are two kinds of mango is a true fruit. Okay. Because what we are eating is just the ripened ovary. So this is the ovary which contains a seed. But here, this is the ovary which contains multiple small seeds. You understand? So write down, there are two kinds of fruits: a true fruit and a false fruit. A true fruit is a ripened ovary. It is formed from the tissues of the ovary. It is a ripened ovary. It is formed from the tissue of the ovary. Whereas in a false fruit, the ripened part is any other tissue but not the ovary. It can be thalamus, it can be pedicel. If you go to the flower and see that below the thalamus there was a pedicel, so it could be thalamus, pedicel, anything. So the ripened part is any tissue, any surrounding tissue, but not the ovary. For example, thalamus and pedicel. Okay, I know Some of you feeling bad, but that's the truth. Okay, done.
Yes, sir.
Now this pericarp, which contains 3 layers, epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp, of every true fruit, fruit to fruit, it can vary. And I will tell you one thing which is even more interesting. So apple we regard as fruit. It happened to be, it's not at all a fruit. On the other hand, people never regard coconut as a fruit, but coconut is a fruit, a true fruit. Now that's interesting, right? A coconut is a true fruit. Now, can you tell me then what part of the coconut do we eat? What is the ripened? What do we eat? Like there also ripening happens, but we never eat the fruit in a coconut.
Seed.
Yes, we actually eat the seed of the coconut. So if you see, let's also make a coconut here. Now I don't know how to make a coconut, but let me try. I'm making a split coconut. Okay, so there is this white part of the coconut, right? And then towards one side, it's like this. Let's say this is coconut cut in half. So this part is husky, right? It has husk. Yes, right? Do you understand what I'm talking about? The brown part?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And then there is this layer which we can clean, and inside we get this whitish part, which is basically it's the seed. Okay, so we eat the seed, and above the seed is the endocarp. So this layer which you see is the endocarp. Endocarp is the outer layer of the coconut, the brown layer which you can just scrape, and above that endocarp is the mesocarp. Mesocarp is these what I call this, thread like things. Do you understand? Which is called husk, coconut husk, coir. So this part is the mesocarp. So if you see have you seen a green coconut, like from where we drink the coconut water?
Yes, sir.
So the outermost region has this epicarp. Then inside the bulk is the green, the fleshy green part is the mesocarp that is not edible. Inside that is the endocarp, which is the lining, and inside that lining, the seed is the part that we eat. So in a coconut water, you know what is coconut water?
The cytoplasm.
Yes, sir.
No. Yes, what it is, Aisha? As you said, cytoplasm. Yes.
Cytoplasm.
No, it's not cytoplasm.
Endos-
Basically, yes. Basically, Aisha is also not wrong, but what tissue it is, I'm asking. It is there's no concept of cytoplasm in a coconut water because it is endosperm. It is something called endosperm, about which you will read later on. But just know that it is free, multiple, like thousands, lakhs, and crores of free floating nucleus. We're just drinking a soup of nucleus. Cell organelle nucleus, free nucleus floating around, and you are drinking it. That's why it's very energy giving. Okay. If you see, there are very weird things, not weird, but biologically very, very interesting things that we eat and drink, but we are never aware of it. I think in some classes I was telling you, did I tell you what a honey is?
Yes.
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 Devangi, do you know what a honey is? What is a honey? Devangi?
Sir, not exactly.
But you know where it comes from?
Sir, honeybees prepare it from the nectar of flowers.
honeybees prepare it from the nectar of flower. Yes, Aisha started crying already because she was very, very, I don't know, grossed or pissed off when she learned that. But yes, so what do honeybees do? They go to the flower, they suck the nectar. So they drink the nectar, keep it in their stomach. When they come back, they vomit it out. So it's half digested, very, very nutritious vomit of a honeybee. That's honey. Okay, cool. And coconut water is free living nucleus. But yes, it's nutritional, so nutritious, so we eat it. So coconut is a fruit, a true fruit. Okay, and your favorite fruit is not a true fruit. Even strawberry. Yeah, anyone of you have noticed? So Aisha's favorite fruit is strawberries. Aisha, you've noticed that on strawberry, where are the seeds?
Yes, it's not inside.
Where is it? It's on outside as pimples, right? In some grooves.
Yes.
That's where. So seeds should be inside the ovary if it is developing from a true ovary. Instead, it's outside in a groove. And before it was in a groove, it was in this membrane, which was the ovary. So it's a multi-ovary, and some inside tissue just gets ripened, and everything, all the seeds are at the outer side. So it's also not a true fruit. It's a false fruit. So is the fruit part clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now let's come to another part, which is a structure inside the fruit. Oh, I was giving you examples. Okay, I already gave you. False fruits are apple, strawberry, jackfruit. They're all false fruits. Pomegranate. Oh my God, another heartbreak. Anyone's favorite fruit is pomegranate? Yes. So you know, no, Devangi is okay. So you know, Devangi, the part that you open and you start eating. So you're basically eating what of a pomegranate?
Sir, seeds.
Exactly. We all think that. Seed is there inside, but the fleshy part, what is the fleshy part? Okay, you have to figure it out. Okay, go and figure it out. It's today's homework. What is pomegranate biologically? And now let me come to the last topic that I will take today, seed. As you have talked about it, we also don't know biologically a lot of things about seed. It's interesting. So what is seed? Quickly, Iram, what do you think is seed?
Ovules after fertilization.
Yes, it's a developed ovule. So write down, seeds are developed ovules containing an embryo. Developed ovules containing an embryo. After fertilization. After fertilization. Okay, so basically that's also true. Seed has two parts. Seed coat, actually three. Inside there is an embryo. It makes this is the superstar. This is the hero. Why seed needs to have an embryo. That's the point of it. Seed coat is to protect. Embryo is the hero. But every hero or every important living system needs two things: protection and what do you need to survive? Like we have more needs than just protection and the other part. That first tell me what is the most two important things: protection and to survive, nutrition. Perfect. So we have more than two needs, protection, nutrition, a good Wi-Fi, and then some other secondary things, good clothes. Yes, we are humans. Welcome to the new evolution. But yes, seed coat. So seed coat plays the protective part. Embryo is what seed is containing. and third, it has endosperm. Okay, so this tissue, seed coat, shows the protective role for the embryo, and this tissue plays the nutritive roles. It provides nutrition to the embryo. Do you understand? In between is the embryo. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And an embryo has two axes. One is called radical and other is called plumule. Okay. Have any one of you seen a gram seed? You know what is a gram seed? A chana. Right? You've seen a chana? It can be split into two. So chana looks like this something, and you can split it into two parts, right? From the center. If you soak chana in water to make sprouts, have you done it? Or you soak it in wet cotton or something? Then you will see that something starts coming out from the chana seeds. One thing goes up and the other thing goes down, right? White structures, which we call sprouted chana. Say yes or no?
Yes.
And those are called plumule and radical, two axes of every embryo. So this is the embryo present in the seed. Whenever an embryo finds suitable environment, it germinates. You know, germination experiment they used to give me when I was in school. We used to get this experiment. I don't know in which class, but in biology, in summer holidays, they used to give us an experiment that we have to germinate seeds of any seed we want, and then at different stages of it we have to paste it in a scrapbook. Just the germinating, when plumule and radical comes, then when the seed, the first leaves comes, it becomes seedling, plantlet, and so on. So I always used to do it with chana. Not always, it was given just once, so I chose chana, and most of the other also did that because it was very easy to germinate, right? So the embryo has a plumule and a radical. Plumule give rise to the shoot system. All the shoot system, branches, flowers, fruit, leaves comes from plumule. Radical gives rise to the root system. It goes inside the soil. R for radical, R for root. Okay. P for plant, P for plumule. So the plant that we see outside the soil is by plumule tissue, and the root system is by radical tissue. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now let's open this. So when we open a chana, you will see that it looks something like this, right? It opens from the center. Into two axes, right? Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So these two things which open are called cotyledons. So if any seed can be split into two and has two cotyledons, it's called dicotyledonous plant. What it is called? Dicotyledonous. If it has only one cotyledon, which means it cannot split into two. Can you split a corn seed into two? Corn, maize. Have you seen
No,
a
sir.
corn seed? What does a corn seed looks like? It looks something like this, right? One seed is like this, right? It cannot be split into two. Can you split a rice or a wheat into two, the seed? No. So those are called monocotyledonous seeds. And on the basis of that, the plant is also known as either dicotyledon or monocotyledon. Okay, so write down. If a seed has two cotyledons, it is known as a let's first write. If a seed has one cotyledon, It's called a monocotyledonous plant. In short, it is called monocots. And if it has two cotyledons, it's called dicotyledonous plant, or in short, dicots. The examples for monocots is rice, wheat, maize. And the example for dicots is pea, gram, which is chana, and beans, and also our pulses. They're mostly dicots. Mango is a dicot because you can split the seed into two. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And write down cotyledons. What do they contain? So cotyledons have this something filled here, right? Actually, we eat the cotyledons when we eat the chana, right? And this fleshy part, when it is not roasted, even when you roast this part we eat, right? What is this part? What is this tissue present? Filled in the cotyledon. Any idea? So embryo is present here. It grows into plumule and it grows into radicle. Okay, so in a seed, this part is embryo. And the black part is the seed coat. Protection, embryo. So what should be this part, the blue part?
Endosperm.
Yes, this is endosperm. It is a nutritive tissue which is present in the cotyledons. So as over time, if any one of you has germinated chana, you will see when the chana seedling starts coming out, it starts germinating, the two cotyledons stay attached to it. Over the time, reduce, and then vanish. Because for the first some time of the early development, where the plant cannot do photosynthesis and cannot make its own food, it relies on this endosperm, the stored food in the seed. The embryo relies on the endosperm. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So write down, endosperm is the nutritive tissue and it provides nutrition to the developing seedling after the germination. It provides nutrition to the developing seedling. In the bracket, write down embryo for germination. Okay, so this is where I end. And the next class, which is day after tomorrow, I'll be telling you more about the seed, the structure of it, and then we'll go into the details of the structure of monocot and dicot seeds. And then the last part, which is the most important but yet boring part, is the where we will learn about families of different plant families, and we will also learn the most important thing which comes in entrance, which is called the floral formula. Floral formula is a very important concept. Please do not miss the classes, at least the next two classes. I'm going to talk about what is floral formula, how to read it, and how to know everything about a plant and its flower from the floral formula. That's why it's called floral formula. Okay. So I'll see you in the next class, everyone. Okay. Aisha, Devangi, and Iram, any doubts, any questions you want to ask?
So did you get my number?
Oh yes, just one moment. Have you written it in the chat to me? Okay,
So
let me
please
note
add
it.
that in the group.
This group, right? The Zoom where you are doing the classes currently, right? This one.
Yes, sir.
Your number ends with 0792. Is this yours?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me note it somewhere so that I can add you to the. So this is the number you want to be added to the group, right? To communicate with me. Okay. Okay, I got it. Devangi. Now I'll add it. Okay.
Sir, I had a doubt.
Yes, please.
Sir, is embryo absent in coconut?
In coconut, yes, a very good question. In coconut, it's not like it's absent, because if embryo is absent, why is there endosperm, right? To give nutrition to what? But the period at which coconut, you will never see a coconut germinating from seed, right? Have you seen anyone putting a coconut in and germinating it?
No, sir.
Yeah, so it's not active and viable, and it cannot germinate, but it's there. Okay. Probably with a picture, I'll show you in the next class how to get to know about it.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
Devangi. Okay, so others, Aisha and Iram, do you have any doubt?